Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jeffrey E. Berger, and welcome to Season 3 of the Holistic True Wealth series in collaboration with Mupo TV, part of Mupo Entertainment. As the CEO and founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness, I am of the belief that we all should be living a life of abundance and optimum wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Today, I take a finance-first approach to achieving all-encompassing personal well-being by embracing new ways to true wealth in the modern world. During my journey, I have found by exploring diverse paths significantly opens the door to true wealth in every sense. For those that don't know, today we are facing a paradigm shift that is revolutionizing our futures in ways that are unprecedented. And to remain stagnant is to be left behind. As a global ambassador for an expanding internationally recognized high-tech company revolutionizing today's blockchain technologies, I'm helping busy entrepreneurs and pioneer thinking individuals navigate today's emerging technologies who are looking to diversify their financial portfolios by introducing ground floor breaking opportunities that are already accredited by industry giants like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, just to list a few. My mission goes beyond business by providing global-minded individuals with new ways to true wealth in the modern world so they can circumvent our broken and corrupt systems by going from barely surviving to thriving again. It's about creating opportunities, providing access, and building a more inclusive and supportive world where everyone has the chance to thrive. Myself, my special guests are about bringing awareness to alternative solutions from all aspects, leaning towards a path to overall true wealth. My mission is to provide real solutions for real people who are serious about transitioning to the next levels in their lives. If that's you, then we need to talk. So before I bring up my very special guest today, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You'll find these interview series in collaboration with Mupo Entertainment at mupotv.com, or you can download our Android or iOS app. We're actually seen in 144 countries. We're on Fire TV, Roku, and Vimeo, and we have Paramount looking at our series to bring it over to them as well. So with that, we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with my special guest today. Thanks. And we are back. Joining us from Boulder, Colorado is my very special guest today, Baz Porter. He's the guy who doesn't host group Zooms, and he works in the fire where imagine doesn't matter anymore and only results do. Baz has worked with Fortune 500 executives, TEDx speakers, world-class entrepreneurs, just to list a few. And he's a no jokes, no fluff, no hype, and just truth type of guy. Welcome, Baz, to Season 3 of Holistic True Wealth.
Hi, Dr. Jeffrey, and it's a pleasure to be here and serve your audience in any capacity that I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time today. Before we jump into the questions today, share a little bit about who Baz is outside of your business.
Sure. I'm a fairly humble guy, or I try to be. I have a wife and 2 cats, and I have two-step stepdaughter and a stepson through marriage, and I'm a grandfather. So I travel and help them. Yeah, I know I don't look it, but that's what it goes.
You don't.
But I'm privileged to help them. And the reason I do what I do is to create freedom for the next generation, so they don't have to struggle and learn the lessons that we did as entrepreneurs, and some of them very hard lessons.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. As I mentioned earlier, we're in a paradigm shift. So there's a lot of changes happening. And it's going to be changing the world in the next 3 to 5 to 10 plus years ahead. And we're trying to get out there and really, educate people, provide information so they can make an educated decision to level up, as I say, level up to the next or go to the next levels, transition to those next levels in their life personally, professionally, or a combination of both. So you pioneered RAMS methodology, and this is the Results Attitude Mastery Systems, which is rooted in transformational leadership. So very, very interesting. Could you walk us through the evolution of that framework and a defining moment like the encounter on a Greyhound bus that really inspired it?
Sure, I'm happy to. So before I became doing what I'm doing now, 7 years ago, I didn't know about even what an entrepreneur was. I was traveling the world on donations, and that's going to lead me to that journey where the Greyhound bus was. And after traveling probably about 27 or 28 states by that point, all on donations, helping people. Now, as I said before, I wasn't aware of what entrepreneurship was. I didn't really know what coaching was. I was a guy who was traveling, who was lost, basically just traveling, and I was out going to Tibet. And I met somebody on a Greyhound bus coming from Texas to Phoenix. And for those people who have made that trip by road, no, it isn't just a short journey. In Texas is a fairly large state. One of the stops, a guy sat next to me, and he was clearly agitated, and he was clearly not himself. And I saw him line up some of that white snow. I'm going to be very careful of the language because this is a family show.
Yep.
On the bus, and I said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" Now I'm an addict, an ex-addict, so I know what this stuff is. I know what it does. I was around it for a very long time.
Sure.
And he said, "I'm doing this, man." And I went, "I get you doing it, but why?" And then he said, "Because I want to, and I can." And he was deflecting. And I said, I understand that. I used to be an addict myself, so I understand what you're going through. What happened? And he said, "You're the first person to ask me that, ever."
Oh, wow.
And I just listened. I said, "So are you able to tell me?" And we were on, you can't run away. You can't, you change seats about that's where you're going.
Sure.
And instead of doing that, he opened up. He said, "Why do you want to know?" I said, "Because I'm helping people. I want you to understand who you are and what happened to you for you to do this. I know what that journey is because I went through it, and I'm not on that side anymore. I was still drinking quite heavily at the time, but I wasn't doing the drugs." And over the course of about 4 or 5 hours, he just poured his heart out. And we stopped at a 7-Eleven in the middle of nowhere. Literally, as far as you can see, there was nothing apart from this gas station and a 7-Eleven.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, "You have an option, because we're going to part ways. You're going to go to your next destination. So you have an option now. You can either do it, carry on, or you can go to the bathrooms and you could put it down the toilet. I know it's a waste of money and it's good stuff. I remember. However, you told me about your daughter and you hadn't seen her for nearly 7 years.
Wow.
And you were wanting to get in contact with her. Let me ask you something. Is your daughter worth more than what's in front of you and the rest of your life? And you have an opportunity now, not for me, not for yourself, but for your relationship with your daughter, to throw that stuff down the bathroom, in the toilet, and possibly pick up the phone." Now, I don't to this day know what he did. I didn't take a phone number, but he had an opportunity to change his life.
Sure.
And that's what we have every single day, is opportunities, mini ones. And we decide what we do with them. And I didn't know the impact that was going to have on me or what I do now, but all I can hope is he took the opportunity and he threw it down the toilet. I didn't watch him do it. It's not my place to. And he picked up the phone to his ex-partner and said, I want a relationship with my daughter. How do I make that happen? How do I prove to you and the rest of the people that I disappointed that that is possible? Now, I hope he did that. I don't know if he did.
Right.
If he did,
Right.
how long that lasted, because I know that journey isn't straightforward and it can be very, very like a roller coaster ride. But he has an opportunity, and that's what we do as entrepreneurs and business owners. And we provide that opportunity not just for ourselves and our families, but for other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the start of your journey. And I understand. I was there at one time myself.
Yeah.
And we have choices. And my choice was determined after waking up 3 days on the floor in my apartment in Boston and come to a realization. So, but that's a story for another day. Your site specifically. Oh, well, first of all, congratulations on, at least getting out there and making that conversation, because hopefully, pray to God that he made those changes and he's with his daughter today. You never know, but that it's a start. And again, we have choices to make. So with your site, you specifically highlight the coaching for high achieving women recovering from burnout and reclaiming leadership identity. So why this demographic, and what kind of impact sets your work apart for them?
I'll answer the first one first. When I was forming all of this, as I said earlier, I didn't know much, and I certainly didn't know about marketing or sales or what entrepreneurship was. I knew a bit about what coaching was or leadership, but I didn't know anything close to what I do today.
Mm-hmm.
At every room I walked into, most rooms I walked into, a lot of men were intimidated. And I now know why. I didn't know back then. And that's because I've had conversations with some of these people, and they said, well, you could see straight through me. And these people were very accomplished in their life and financially, in their business. But a lot of people, and especially men in the demographic that we're talking about at the moment, don't like to speak up. No one likes to speak up, so they have a problem.
Sure.
But men in particular, I could see through in these environments like masterminds, speaking events, things like this, and they felt very intimidated. And a lot of the false confidence that these people have, and there's nothing wrong with that, I could see through, and they'd be like, "Oh no, I can't speak to him," and it would manifest in different ways, and they would step away from me. Women, interestingly enough, gravitated towards me. And it's not because I was good looking. It wasn't because I was looking for anything. I'm happily married, one of the few to be happily married. But anyway, it's nice to be in that environment. But I didn't know what it was when women especially, were approaching me. And I didn't know until probably a couple of years ago when I asked a few of my clients, why are you, what is it about me that you are drawn to? Why do you want to work with me? So because you're confident. And women particularly gravitate towards a confident but humble person. They feel safe. And there was a lot of things I did around that safety aspect and value aspect within my business. And the idea of coming into a space where I wasn't known, I didn't really know what I was doing, I had that fake confidence, which is why I could spot it out. I had to be this persona and step forward and be this man's man in this environment. And I was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was scared a lot of the times.
Sure.
My first time on stage was I was invited to an auditorium at Princeton, just randomly. And I was asked to do a speech on stage, and I was shaking from fear because there was 400 people in front of me that I didn't know. And I was like, what am I going to speak about? Palms were sweating. I had sweat pouring from all of me. I was wearing this shirt actually. And I was so petrified, but I did it anyway. And men were just like, oh my God, he sees me. Women were like, oh my God, he actually sees me. And I likened it to the film from Mel Gibson, What Women Want. Now, I can't read people's minds,
Right.
but I want to create a safe environment where people can be understood and feel confident, safe, and heard and valued without being judged. And that's what I did with the whole of the business. And that's how I sort of stepped into that role of a guide rather than a coach. Does that answer the question?
It does. And for those listeners that are out there, I've known Baz for, I think it's like 6 months now, and I've been following him on LinkedIn. And he has some incredible value that he shares with his community. So I highly recommend, if you resonate with his messages, definitely reach out to him. So we're going to take a quick commercial break again here real quick. And I mentioned earlier about my global ambassadorship here. I'm out educating people about real world assets. And a lot of people are scared about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, so forth and so on. This is going to be the future. However, we're a different type of company where real world assets, they're attached to real world assets. For example, real estate and applications, or I call it, where they're now eclectic ecosystem. So you're investing into something that's very, very tangible, where cryptocurrency is out there in crypto world, and it doesn't have anything that's attached to it. So watch this quick commercial. We'll come right back with Baz. Okay, we are back with Baz Porter, who is joining us from Boulder, Colorado, and I can't believe that we're like 20 minutes in. So I'm going to wrap up with two more questions here with you, because I'm going to have you come back on. You provide so much value, and I want that to extend to to the audience, because it's all about making connections and providing those alternative options, because we need those alternative options outside of our corrupt and broken systems that aren't really helping people out there. But so, Baz, many listeners may resonate with your message of external success, but inner exhaustion, and around successful yet hollow. How do you guide leaders to stop performing and give, or actually begin living authentically?
I think that's a great question. And the simple answer is the framework that I stumbled across and then refined. So it starts with a result. Before you give anything or want to go towards anything, you need a result. But I'd like to go a few layers deeper. People say, what do I want? And it's a superficial answer. And I like to say, design a life of a day in a life of what you truly want, without any limitations, without anything that is going to hold you back. What does that person look like? What does that person feel like? What is that person doing? Don't put a time frame on it. Don't say it's going to be like this in 6 months or 3 months or a year. Just think way outside the box, as if there wasn't a box, and start creating it from an unlimited space and see what comes up. The next part of that is the attitude and the authenticity of who you are. There's a lot of buzz about mindsets, and I'm just going to disagree with a lot of people just because I can. Mindset is a limitation. A state of being is a perpetual element of elevation when it comes to your life. So I embody mind states rather than a mindset. Then we go through the mastery. How can it be improved constantly? Systems is the how bit, the blueprints, the milestones, the relationships, and all the other boring stuff that take really time to go through. But find out what you truly want and then go deeper with it. Brian Tracy once said, Jack Canfield or Brian Tracy, one of the two, who are legends in the field, Write down 100 goals. But I do that and then say, why do I want them? Give a specific reason.
Why, yeah.
Why do I want it? And then how it's going to make me feel. And I go deeper with it. So it's not just, I want this because it's superficial.
Right. And it's all about how you feel. And with your explanation right now, I'm looking at like it's a reverse engineering type of thing where what's the goal that you want? Okay, now backtrack and figure out how do we get to that goal.
Yes.
So that's super. And you know what? As you're talking through this process, I was thinking, okay, I've got to have him back on to maybe dedicate, an interview specific to the process and just bring awareness to individuals, more awareness to individuals at a granular level. So before I ask my last question for you, do you want to share any other social media platforms where people can get in touch with you besides the website that is scrolling at the bottom of the screen here?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn mainly. So if you want to just research me on LinkedIn, I am on YouTube. I have a podcast that goes out on YouTube, and that's all where the shorts go. But if you want to get hold of me, best way is to go on LinkedIn. There's a self-diagnostic at the top, and it's completely free, 101 questions, and it's about understanding where you are, and then it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with me. There's nothing on the front end. I don't need anything from you. Just do the audit, and then you can have an option after you've done the questionnaire. It takes about 10 minutes.
Awesome. That's great. So last question for you is, if there was one piece of advice you can provide our viewers watching that could potentially take them to the next level in their personal life, professionally, or both, what would that be?
Can I give two? Because
Absolutely.
I overlap.
Absolutely.
The first one is, don't be afraid to ask. And ask the bold questions that you are most afraid to ask. And ask the people who you least expect. The second one is, dream big. All because you have a framework of what's going on right now. Now is a time. It's a moment. And that doesn't mean it's going to be that like that forever. But the only thing holding you back is you understanding who you truly are and your own capabilities. This is coming from someone who went from $7 to multiple seven figures. So those people say it isn't possible. I was homeless. I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I've been where you are and probably a lot worse places. But because I dreamed big and I dared to ask for help, that's what accelerated my growth. And they were the two fundamental things that were the acceleration in what happened with me within 14 months.
That's incredible. And I did watch, I saw a video clip on LinkedIn this morning about asking for help. So people, you got to, I got to have you back on. This has been really, really enlightening. And reach out to Baz. Please do that. And as we're closing up here, are you happy with your retirement portfolio? Or are you interested in learning how to take advantage of today's technologies, like those who did and saw the opportunity decades ago with Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, and Amazon? And I didn't see it back then. Are you looking for a unique investment opportunity that not only will change your lives, but for generations to come, for your kids and your grandkids? Well, here as an ex-software engineer, I was approached in 2009 with the opportunity of purchasing 500 Bitcoin at 0.0017 cents. That's an 85-cent investment. My response, nah, sounds like a scam. Today, Bitcoin has valued at around $118,000, if not more. So we are in front of a massive paradigm shift, not only from finances, but also medical. There's a lot of medical stuff that's coming out. So it's always the early birds who always get the biggest worms. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about what we have going on and to, give some more options for you to consider, to making an educated decision if this is something that is for you, because like those, as I said earlier, who looked at and saw the vision of Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, and Amazon decades ago, that's where we are today. We're in the blockchain technology, and this is where the future is. It's changing the way we're doing things today into the next 3 to 5 to 10 plus years ahead. And if you snooze, basically those who remain, stagnant will be left behind. And we're trying to educate those people that are interested in getting to that next level. So scan that QR code. And I do host 5 monthly webinars to get people educated on this information, so you can make that educated decision. And so with that, I want to again thank Baz for coming on today, and we appreciate you so much for what you shared today, and we'll definitely have you on again to go layer down into more depth into your approach to helping people. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the inside next time.
Thank you.
You thought I was playing? Huh. I was playing? Huh.